Welcome back. Our next speaker is one of the very first people that joined our Slack channel that we didn't actually know. So he has a special place in my heart in that regard, that he actually stuck around after joining this crazy group, and he's part of this crazy group, moved back to the UK, and is now especially for this talk back in Amsterdam. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm applause to Spencer.
Thank you. Is it this one here?
Yeah, it's that.
Okay, thank you. So hello everyone, my name is Spencer. As Justin just said, I joined the Amsterdam tech community about 2 years ago, just when it was getting started. So today I'm going to be talking about how I went from selling my time as a full-time employed software engineer to selling products as a founder of a company. I'd known for a long time that I wanted to start a company. I'd known I'd always wanted to be my own boss, so I could have certain freedoms and basically be in control of my destiny, but I never really knew what that would be. Out of high school, I didn't do very well in school. My first job was in a chicken factory, basically pulling parts of chicken apart for supermarkets to sell to people. And this didn't really inspire me much in terms of what I was going to do as a career. But around the same time, I came across the internet. This is when you would get the internet delivered to you at your house on a little disk. You get like a 30-day trial to try the internet, so it's quite a while ago. But it really opened my eyes to potential opportunities, because it really showed me that people were starting businesses all over the place. They were teaching themselves how to code, they were teaching themselves how to run a business, and they were going about it in a completely different way as compared to going to a business school and doing an MBA. And also the freedom approach of it really inspired me, because it meant that I could work from anywhere in the world. As long as you have an internet connection, you can work from anywhere, work whenever you like, on whatever you like. And that kind of really just kind of kickstarted the whole idea, okay, I'm going to start an internet business. But I didn't really know anything about programming or development, so I had to basically just teach myself everything that I could, from reading books and going to university and doing every possible tutorial out there. So eventually I managed to get myself an internship at an e-commerce agency that was a very small family-run business, which was very nice because they were very close with their product and they were building something that they really believed in. And they hired people who would fit into that same company culture. But the best thing about the company was it introduced me to the idea of software as a service, which I'd never heard of before, which is basically the idea of you build a product and you sell it on a monthly or yearly basis to your customers for recurring revenue, which means you build something once and you're constantly improving. And that really kind of struck a chord with me in terms of, rather than building a product and just selling it once, you can kind of have a really close relationship with your customers and keep building something. So unfortunately, after a couple of years, the company got acquired. It was my first experience of going through an acquisition. It was a large telecommunications company that basically ripped the heart and soul out of this very small family-owned business, and things just kind of went from bad to worse. The small family-owned culture just disappeared almost overnight, and everyone just started leaving in droves, and I was wondering if maybe I should do the same thing. Should I stay here and kind of just be a drone in this new corporate entity, or go out and learn new things about my potential future career? So after mulling it over for a while, I actually put my CV on the internet, which is the worst thing to do, I found out, as a software engineer, because you just get hassled by every possible recruiter out there. I ended up working in advertising completely by mistake. And the allure of it really was just, okay, this is something that another potential area that I can learn about. And also, I was drawn in by the so-called company culture of having a pool table and foosball and beers and computer games, whereas it didn't take me long to realize that you don't actually get any time to play with any of these toys, because the amount of pressure that's put on you working in a very high-pressure advertising company is quite immense. I started kind of losing a lot of free time. Fair enough, I was earning more money, so that was one good thing. But I didn't really have any time to spend any of it. So I was working evenings and weekends, and I had no time to start this company of my own. It didn't take me long to realize that I actually hated advertising. I didn't choose that industry on purpose. I kind of stumbled into it, and after a while, I realized that I didn't like it at all. And also, I was just getting burnt out with not having any time to myself, and it didn't take me long to realize, okay, I need to just get away from this whole thing. That's when I moved to Thailand. I basically quit my job in an instant, sold everything that I owned, had a laptop, and just took that with me and moved to Thailand. And the idea was, okay, now I'll have some free time and space to start a company and do something that I really enjoy doing. And in the meantime, I can do some remote consulting to kind of pay my way. So when it came to starting my product, I didn't really focus too much on what it was. I was more focused on, okay, I'm a developer, I know how to program. I'm going to use all of the best tools. I'm going to use all the new frameworks, the best languages, use microservices and single-page applications. For the non-developers in there, it basically means I was attracted to every shiny object out there. Every time I was finding something new, I thought, okay, I've got to build that end-to-end product as well. It has to be the latest and greatest. And I'd obviously seen the Field of Dreams too many times because I was solidly believing this idea that if you build something and you keep making some amazing software, that someone somewhere will turn up and build it and all of your dreams will come true. It didn't take long, maybe like 9 or 10 months or so of just kind of constantly churning away, building this thing, finding new shiny things here, new shiny things there. So I got to the point where I just kind of built this Frankenstein monster of a piece of software. I didn't know what it did, who it was for, or anything. And one thing I did do really well was keep it a secret. I didn't tell anybody about my idea because in case somebody stole it. Turns out I kept it as such a good secret, I kept it a secret for myself. I didn't know anything about it. I just kind of kept churning away. And every now and then I come up with a new idea and a new idea and a new idea, but never really focusing on what it was I was doing. So I just had this huge pile of unfinished work that never actually developed into anything. So then I thought, okay, if I'm going to actually do this seriously, it might make sense for me to actually work for a startup, a very early stage startup, and see how it's done from the inside. So I moved back to the UK after being away for a couple of years and joined a very early stage startup in London. And their product was basically trying to help other startups get started, so matching entrepreneurs with investors and basically helping the startup ecosystem in England. I thought, okay, this is great because if I do this, then maybe one day the product that I built can help me start my own company. Unfortunately, it also exposed me to the real life of working in a startup, which is not as glamorous as it seems. So there's a lot of co-founder fighting, there's a lot of reasons for, all the reasons that you hear about startups failing. Seeing them firsthand with my own eyes was quite an experience because I thought, oh, that only happens to the smaller startups that don't really have any idea what they're doing. These guys kind of had a bit of experience, they'd had companies before, but it was just all falling apart. And also, being back in an open office, a huge open office of like 1,000 developers, after being away working on a tropical island for a couple of years, it was a bit of an eye-opening experience to be back in a shared working space where I just could not focus or concentrate. So I managed to convince the co-founders of the company to let me work remotely so that I can kind of be a lot more productive, and they believed me. So that's when I moved to Amsterdam. Mainly because it's still very close to London, so I can still see my friends. I heard it had a very good technology scene. The people are very nice, of course, as you all know. And also, it's a lot less busier and less crowded than London, so there was a lot of attractions for that. And around the same time, a good friend of mine, a friend I'd had for 15 years or so, who was a designer, we both came together and thought, okay, let's try and do this together. We'll start a company with co-founders. We'll have one designer, one developer. We got like the dream team. What could possibly go wrong? So we came up with this idea for a company called Grapple. The idea was quite basic. It was we would help companies advertise their products by running competitions for them. So for example, if Sony released a new camera, we'd run a competition to say who can take the best picture, and the winner wins a camera. So it was kind of like an advertising-based product. So we got to the magical phase 2, which is where I seem to get stuck quite often. We built our minimum viable product. We had some, we gave it to our friends and had some potential users, but now we were kind of stuck in this phase of what do we do next. And also, because I'd never worked with my friend before, we'd been friends and had a good relationship, but we didn't have a working relationship. And that showed me really how difficult that can be. We argued over everything. We couldn't really come to a single decision at all. It was just always arguing. And also, we decided if we were really going to focus on this, we should quit our jobs so that we can really focus on this full time. And also, it was the idea to kind of, if we were going to make money, we just have to litter it with advertising, because if we need to pay our rent and pay bills, we can stick ads on there and it'll all be okay. It didn't take long for this to kind of all go wrong. The friendship ended. We folded the business, and it basically destroyed the friendship that we'd had for over 15 years. So now it's kind of back to square one again, except this time I had no job, I had no idea, I had no co-founder, I had nothing to kind of really get started. I had some savings that I was going to use when building this other company, so I had a little something. So my first priority really was to replace my salary. I had to have some income. I didn't want to go and get another job. I wanted to start a company. So this was really that kind of the do or die time. And to do this, I made a simple calculations about what kind of income can I hope to get if I do some software as a service. I set myself a very kind of average benchmark of around 3,000 euros a month, and just basically tried to compare if I tried to sell something to consumers who are very price conscious around how much they'll spend and how much value they get for that, I would have had to get around 300 customers at 10 euros a month. Or on the other side, selling to businesses who are quite happy to pay for a reliable service that's well supported. If I priced it around 300 euros a month, I'd only have to get 10 customers before I can get 3,000 euros a month. So that seemed a bit more achievable. So being in Amsterdam and kind of learning about how it was becoming a very good tech hub, especially for startups, I was going to a lot of events and meetups, for example, the Amsterdam Tech meetups and the barbecues, Startup Amsterdam and the Next Web conferences, and just really trying to meet as many founders as I could to really kind of explore the problems that they're having and hopefully find some relationships between them and try and help each other. And also, I was trying to meet as many solo founders as I could around Amsterdam. I was living in the Jordan, and there was a lot of small kind of solo founders around that I didn't even know of because they don't call themselves solo founders. They call themselves record store owners or cafe owners, but still, they're small businesses run by small amounts of people. And also, I was trying to figure out how to build a company about something that I actually believed in and something that I cared about. So I started researching all the way back to, okay, so the internet kind of got me into this. Where did the internet come from? How did that idea start? How did the web start? Reading all these things about how all of these technologies that I use every day, where did they come from? Where was the innovation originally coming from? And also, I was taking a different approach to what kind of company I'd build. Before, it was a case of, I have to have a unique idea that no one has ever done before. Whereas now, it was a case of, okay, if I can build something that already exists, there's already a market. People already know about this. Competitors are actually a good thing because they validated that there's a problem that needs to be solved. So there's always opportunity to make things easier, faster, efficient, and better than they already are. I mean, I'm sure all of you in this room have had an experience of using a bad product. You have a problem and you use a product for it, and something somewhere isn't not a very good experience. So eventually I came to this idea of building some software that would help companies to stimulate innovation within their own organization, empowering their employees to help them solve their business challenges. And to me, this was great because it meant that I could continue researching about how innovation works and also build a product based on all of that research and all of those findings. And this time, instead of going out and finding the latest shiny product and latest shiny piece of software to use, I just used the software that I knew very well, things that I've been using for my whole career, years and years and years, because it was more about getting something out as quickly as possible rather than using the shiniest bit of kit. And also because I had no income, I just had my savings, I had to do this as cheaply as possible. So that means using all of the possible free tiers that are out there, from free credits from Amazon and Google and the Global Entrepreneur Program from IBM as well. So just basically, it's only recently that I've even started paying for all of the servers that I'm using. And also, I had to become a lot more thrifty around how I was spending money. So instead of buying things new, I would go to thrift stores and charity shops and buy things used. I still do that now. It's quite a good habit to have when trying to be careful about money. And also around the same time, there was a small kind of family incident that I had to move back to the UK. So again, another opportunity to kind of cut back on how much I was paying for rent and all that kind of stuff. So the traditional advice around launching a product or a new service is reach out to your online audience. Reach out to your Twitter followers and you use your mailing list and use your social friends. And I don't really have an online presence. I don't use any social networks at all, so that didn't really apply to me. So instead, I would just reach out to all my friends, family, ex-colleagues, everyone that I knew, and tried to do it that way. And it actually worked out pretty well because I got some good introductions to getting some first pilot customers on board and getting some first users. I even got an introduction to someone at a very large financial company through a friend, which became a very big pilot enterprise customer. And also going to going to conferences and meetups and all kinds of events, just meeting people, not in the tech scene, not in the startup scene, but people in the industry that I was now moving into, which was around innovation and employee engagement and change management. And that actually led me to meet some people who were very interested in the subject, but didn't actually have a tech team of their own. They liked the idea of the product, but they wanted something that they could own and put their own name on. So we couldn't really come to an agreement. So I was kind of getting a bit desperate. I didn't have any sales. I had some pilots, but they weren't really going anywhere. So I reached out to some people on Hacker News, which is a forum that some of you might know. And I reached out to a guy who's quite prolific. He has a very high rating. And I just asked him, can we meet for a cup of coffee? And he happened to live in Amsterdam. So I came over to meet him. And he basically said, so what's the problem? How can I help? I explained I didn't really know what I was doing. I had a kind of product. I didn't know whether I should go out now and raise investment or I should carry on doing what I'm doing. And he very gratefully said, look, you have a product. You need to just go out and sell it. You keep getting to the stage where you build something, but it doesn't go anywhere. If you want to know about what to do with money, I can introduce you to some VCs. I can introduce you to some bootstrappers. And you can get their own advice. So he did. He introduced me to a bootstrapper in England who gave me some great advice. He said, if you think of raising investment like the boost power that you get on Mario Kart, if you don't know where you're going and you use your boost power, you'll probably just go straight into a wall. Whereas if you do know where you're going and you use your boost, you'll get there a lot quicker. It sounds like you don't know what you're doing, so you should probably just slow down a bit. And I also met a couple of VCs as well who, I wasn't interested in their money as such. It was more about their advice. And one really good bit of advice I got was, when it comes to starting a company and starting a business, there's a lot of advice out there about creating value for others, but not so much about capturing some of that value for yourself in terms of how you actually make money and how you survive. So if you can really just spend a bit more time researching the making money part, less on the actual product, it will make a lot more sense and you will have a bit more success. So around the same time, I was reading a book called Masters of Doom, which is all about the history of id Software. They made a lot of the computer games that I played while I was growing up, such as Commander Keen and Quake and Doom. And I didn't know, but from reading this book, I discovered that when they first got started, they actually licensed their technology and their game engine to other game creators so they could create their own games. I thought, well, maybe I could do something similar with these companies I keep meeting who they like the product, but they want to put their name on it. What if I white label my product, let them put their name on it, and charge license fees that way? Maybe that can kind of get some good income. And also, I really had to kind of learn about sales. I had to learn about how can I sell a product? How can I approach sales without being like the sleazy car salesman guy? And I wanted to be able to do it properly and relate and build customer relationships. So this actually led to my first sale. From reading about how id Software kind of licensed their technology, I used the same technique and sold my software to consultants who then sell that software to their customers, which kind of gets me into companies that I would never even think of working with because I don't have the same prestige and the same client list as they do, but it still allows me to sell my product and make money. And after doing that for a few months, I managed to do another sale, and this time even bigger because the product had improved. I'd now had some testimonials behind me and some case studies and lots of things that would actually help me make sales a lot easier. So after about a year of doing this, I'd now reached that goal of replacing my salary with income from my new software. And I'd managed to work from a few different countries around the world, from coming back to Amsterdam to back in London and Edinburgh, Lisbon, Thailand, and just basically being able to do what I originally set out to do, which was work on my product from anywhere in the world whenever I choose. But this is by no means a success story. I still see that I'm still at the beginning, really. This is right at the, I have so many more plans for where this can go, and I still have so much more to learn about running a business, working on sales and marketing and all that kind of stuff. So to quickly recap from all of the lessons that I've learned from doing this, hopefully to make sure if any of you out there are going to do the same thing, you don't make the same mistakes that I did. The first one really is use what you know. If you are a software engineer, if you are a developer, it's best to use the tools that you already know to get something out there as quickly as possible, rather than constantly reinventing the wheel. And also, be careful about managing risk. Starting a business is a very risky endeavor. There'll always be risks attached. But don't gamble with things that you can't afford to lose. I learned that the hard way with losing a very good friend over a very silly business venture that didn't really go anywhere. So don't really, you just shouldn't gamble with things that you can't afford to lose. And also with time, everything takes a lot longer than you think. I thought I'd be replacing my salary in 2 to 3 months, so it'd be easy. It took a year, and then even then, there was lots of hurdles along the way. So everything will take a lot longer than you expect. And also it will be a lot tougher than you expect. It's really hard to stay focused and disciplined and keep your eyes on the prize at the whole time. It's so easy to just get distracted. And also other people. I learned that getting feedback constantly from other people is so much more valuable than trying to keep your ideas close to your chest. I've had people help me with design and illustration and legal terms and accounting and all kinds of things that I couldn't have asked for without speaking to people and asking. And also remembering that the most important job if you're running a business, whether you're a software developer or not, if you don't have sales and you don't really understand marketing, your product is dead and it will never go anywhere. So what's next in terms of the company that I now run? I don't know. I'm kind of at a crossroads where I can either decide to go down the traditional route of raising financing and trying to grow the company, or staying small and trying to keep things small and focused as they are now. So basically, I just wanted to say if anybody else out there is in a similar situation where they're starting a company or thinking of starting a company, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help anyone that I can. You can speak to me here in person or reach me on Slack, or my email address is here. So please, if anyone needs anything, any kind of help that I can help with, then please let me know. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Spencer.